वेलकम टू स्टॉक मार्केट्स विद केआर। स्टॉक मार्केट्स विद केआर में स्वागत है आपका। एंड वी आर बैक विद अनदर वीकली एनालिसिस विद अनोश इन कोलैबोरेशन with the financial Pandora. So without any further ado, Anosh, let's just jump into the charts now, shall we?
Absolutely, KR. Absolutely. Hey guys, hope you all had a nice trading week. Quickly looking at what Nifty has done. Nifty's Monday open was very scary, plunged significantly, but had a strong intraday move, closed higher up, followed by 2 days of rejecting this 15,860 level approximately, and then closed right at that resistance level after rejecting lows on Friday. As we all remember, Friday was a good positive move too. Let's look at Bank Nifty. Bank Nifty perfectly tested our level of 34,000 again on Monday before making a strong intraday up move, followed by 2 days of sideways to downward movement, and finally all ready to challenge this higher resistance level. Bank Nifty relative strength chart, that is the ratio with Nifty, is rather making a sort of head and shoulders pattern, and it's of course not yet complete, but we wouldn't say it's negated yet either, although we do see it breaking this 4-week streak of downtrend and closing with a strong positive move. So we'll be watching this ratio for the coming week and observing what it really does before drawing further insights. This is what the indices have all done since the March 2020 lows. Small caps clear winners, followed by mid caps, then Nifty 500, and lastly Nifty. Nifty Mid Cap 100 is the second gainer again on the YTD basis, and Nifty Small Cap remains the first. This is the 1 week performance where we see Nifty Mid Cap having done the best. If we remember last week, it was one of the biggest losers and had made quite a significant down move. It's covered up most of that now and is the winner this week. This is the relative strength chart of all three broad market indices. We can see that the breakouts are intact, all of them are in firm uptrends, and there is really no cause for a bearish outlook on the broad market as yet, looking at these charts. India VIX, which is our volatility measure, closed at its lowest level since Jan 2020, and that really tells us that, the markets are really factoring a lot of, certainty to some extent, at least on the COVID situation probably, and it's very rare that we see such low levels of VIX. Of course, VIX has a tendency to also make sharp rebounds from its extreme levels. So any slight sign of uncertainty, volatility can lead to an upswing. But for now, it seems to be testing that -1 SD level repeatedly. That's the -1 standard deviation on the long-term regression channel. And it can probably lie there for a while unless something drastically wrong happens. Krunal will now tell us about the Nifty heavyweights.
Great, thanks for that, Anosh. And we'll jump into the Nifty heavyweights and Bank Nifty heavyweights eventually. So right here, obviously, we've got Reliance, the hottest stock these days because of the AGM. So what we can see here are three sharp negative candles. Obviously, AGM, post-AGM performance was a little, iffy, missing in many ways, but we have seen that happening in the past. So instead of talking about what the chart looks like, I'll just tell you my view on what actually happened, because I think that's more relevant in this case. So in the past, we have seen Reliance actually, facing some difficulties when they don't talk about the core business activity or the cash cow in their AGM. So I think in the last AGM also, when they focused a lot on either the geo platforms or on alternative energy, that is when people saw some sentimental issues. So I think that could be at least one of the factors if we go based on that. But technically speaking, what we can see is that once that 2278 resistance hit, which was the one level, the first 100% level on the trend-based fib extension, that is where it started taking resistance. We actually saw a very clean spinning top candle on that precise level itself, and then it started to fall down. 2200 levels rejected, 2100 retested. So let's see how it goes. It's obviously fallen a lot, very high volumes, but I think it's a little difficult to give a directional view on Reliance just yet because of all these news-based factors. Anosh, what do you feel about Reliance?
So I was actually watching the Reliance AGM, and throughout, it was a bearish time for Reliance even during the meeting itself. And yeah, I mean, I don't see any great strength here right now, and definitely want to avoid longs purely based on sentiment for sure. Maybe
Right.
when it comes to a more significant support level or show some kind of strength on the breakout side, is when I'd be more, okay looking at this stock. Till then, it's probably not got much of my eye on the trading front.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So these levels actually are, very normal for Reliance. But yeah, moving on to HDFC Bank here, what we have is that the price is approaching that 1529 level. So 1460 bounce, we are actually tracking it. It was happening and that level was respected. But now it is coming to, I think, an even more important level, because if it's able to break this, then it will have, broken out of its range that it's been moving in, which is, I think, a very important thing, not just for HDFC Bank, but also for Nifty and Bank Nifty, given that it's a heavyweight. RSI is just approaching 60. I think it's just a smidge above, 60 now. And moving on, we have Infosys. So Infosys, we can see very strong day on Friday. We can see that it actually retested those higher levels. It fell beneath previous close and then it was able to recover from its lows. Very strong. Volumes also appear to be fairly decent, especially considering that it's ATH. So let's see what happens. Typically ATH levels might see some sort of hesitation, but no, very strong volumes. That's a good sign, above 1500. Let's see how it goes. Coming to the next stock, which is HDFC, we can see it holding that 2500 level. Obviously, it's seen a very rough couple of sessions. We can see it's been all over the place this past week, actually more than the past week. And it's finally above that 2500 level. But the thing is, let's see if it's actually held. We can see it's been trading in that range for the past 3 months, which is really not a good sign. So as far as trades are concerned, I'm not quite sure if this is the right time. I think it's still above the 50 MA, which is good, but then it is still trading in that range, which is really indecisive. So no strong view yet in terms of HDFC's trend. Coming to ICICI Bank, what we can see is that 633 levels were finally held on Thursday, and then we saw a strong bounce on Friday, up quite a lot. What's it, 2.36%, which is fairly strong. I think that's a good figure. Let's see if it's able to hold on to this level. I think this is one of the strongest candles we've seen since early June, which is, I think, a good positive sign. It's almost a Marubozu actually. Marubozu is when the open is equal to the low and the close is equal to the high. And that is very similar to what we're seeing. 650 is the high, 636, 649 is the close, which is, very similar. So it's almost a near perfect Marubozu that we're seeing with ICICI Bank. And Marubozos are very bullish in nature, when they are basically bullish if they are like green Marubozos. So that's what we're seeing. Moving on to Kotak Bank, and we can clearly see that it's underperformed. Now we saw ICICI Bank showing us incredible strength using that Marubozu, and then we've got the complete opposite of that, a doji with extremely high volumes just below the 200 MA, which is really not a good sign. It's holding above RSI 40, which means that, okay, at least there's some hope left in terms of longs. But let's see what happens with Kotak Bank. Doji with high volumes might just indicate a reversal, but then the price action so far has really not been very, reassuring for me in mind. Next stock is SBI, and so PSUs in general, Anosh will brief us fairly in depth in some time. So SBI now, it's I think the exception where it's already had a great run compared to the other PSUs, and we can see after 420 levels were held, it opened above and then it's just shot fairly nicely. And again, it's shown us a fairly strong candle after quite some time. RSI has also just reached 60. And here is Axis Bank. Axis Bank, so if you've been following my daily uploads, or if you've been, watching these weekly sessions pretty much since they started, you would have realized that Axis Bank, every time we just say the same thing, that, oh, hey, it's stuck in that 3% range. Oh my God, what's happening? But here we can see it's finally broken out of that 3% range. Actually, I'd shared a tweet not too long ago, which will be there displayed there, somewhere on the screen when I edit it. And I basically talked about how the premium of Axis Bank options was actually decaying because it just moved flat. And it was moving within, I think, a 2.86% range. And the beauty is that on Friday, the single direction move itself was 3%. So think of an entire month worth of movements was actually happening within Friday's candle, if you think of it in percentages, which is just nuts. And obviously we can see a range breakout, which is super interesting. So let's see how it goes. Let's see if it's able to hold on to this momentum. If it is, then we could see some decent movements happening.
Hey, thanks a lot, Kronal. Now I'd like to talk to the viewers about an interesting trend that I've caught on to. I also tweeted about it a while ago. That would be the Nifty PSU Bank Index. We know that this index has massively underperformed Bank Nifty over the long run, and that's shown in this chart. On top, we see Bank Nifty, and at the bottom in the blue line, which is Nifty PSU Bank, it's really not done much, whereas Bank Nifty has been a crazy compounder, even if taking into account the March 20 crash, where it was one of the biggest sufferers. Even after that, I mean, on a long-term basis, it's been a fantastic performer. But I think to some extent that trend is now changing. We can see at the bottom the Nifty PSU Bank versus Bank Nifty. It is forming an inverted head and shoulders trend reversal pattern. So I am fairly bullish in this space. And a couple of charts which I've been liking are one is IOB, which you can see has shown incredible strength in recent times and is really like turning around from that unbearably long downtrend which it had for so long. And another name which I like right now is Canara Bank. However, I'm looking for a breakout above 155, 165 range to really take some hardcore bullish bets. Till then, it's of course stuck between this massive polarity level here. So, I mean, above that breakout level, Canara Bank looks great. IOB Bank, which we just discussed, and these are two very interesting stocks in this space that I'm tracking right now.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I think if our viewers actually look at the all the stocks of the PSU sector, PSU bank sector, they'll understand exactly what you're talking about, because these two charts, they're just one part of the broader pie. So I think that could be a great homework. So hey viewers, if you're in the mood for some homework, then you should definitely look at the PSU bank chart, like the index and all the components. I think you'll get a lot from it, and I think that would be good. So yeah, that was a pretty nice session, Anosh, don't you think?
Absolutely, always a pleasure to be here, Kronal.
Thanks a lot, Anosh, for coming here, and excited to see you here again next week. Till then, viewers, have a great trading week and happy trading, and have a great weekend as well.
Have a great weekend, guys. Happy trading.